Welcome to the Industry Born podcast. I'm Cullen Raichart, your host, and today we'll be covering almost anything related to cannabis.
DX, that dude Marty, who was one of the guys you guys were showing.
Yeah.
One of the managers. He's just really good at design and Photoshop and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I was like, I want the not just the sickest badges at Cookies. I want the sickest badges in the world.
That pretty much qualifies as the fucking coolest badge I've seen.
I mean, look at that one.
That was fucking awesome.
It all counts, man.
Yeah.
It all matters.
I mean, people see that. You know, we have to. You know, obviously, we don't have the glitz and the glamour of Cookies Vegas or Melrose or any of these other places. We gotta work with the tools we got. You know.
Well, it's interesting because I think, to me, that's what's interesting about the brand is that there's the brand, and now the underlying pillars are being built that support that brand. Well, that's got to be a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, no. It's like building a plane in the airplane in the air.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Keep going, man.
We're falling. Gotta get those wings done.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they are we on?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, that's to me is what's always amazing because we struggle with, you know, like everybody does with marketing, but this machine, this Cookies machine has got that part really, really well mastered.
Yeah.
You know, and just such a presence.
Yeah, I mean that was I mean, so much of that was organic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
None of this exists without the brand. You know,
Right.
it's like we're able to do so many things that other companies aren't able to do, specifically because we have this huge kind of marketing behemoth that, you know, and this huge following and loyal fan base.
It's loyal. It's really crazy.
It's crazy.
I've never seen. I mean, I think the first time, one time maybe I saw dispensaries with lines out the door when they first opened, but you know, you still got lines in Vegas at the Cookies.
We get people camping out for a new strain drop. It's not even just for a new store opening. Burner announces a new strain and people people camp overnight. I mean, it's so cool, and it's so cool.
It's
to
really
watch.
cool.
And it's a really cool company to be on the inside of it. You know, just because, you know, it really did all happen so organically.
Yeah.
You know, and it was you know. I often hear people throw out that, you know, Cookies was built backwards. You know, it started as this big brand. It came from the streets. It was you know, it was a trap brand before it was a real brand.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, we built a company around it and built a supply chain around a brand that already existed, which was cool to see it happen. You know, to be there early on and to kind of be a part of it and watch it happen and, you know, kind of, you know, be a, you know.
Well, that's a genius move. I mean, really, this is a brilliant move all the way around.
Yeah.
And I'm really impressed, actually, to be honest with you, because you get the feeling, because like you said, the history or the early days of the brand, you get the feeling that it may be, you know, I don't know. You don't really know what the culture's like.
Yeah.
But around here, this is really craft culture and really, you know, down to earth, grassroots kind of culture, and I kind of feeling like that's what the brand must be, because you wouldn't just have such a crazy divergent portion of it. I mean, it seems like that must be the whole organization.
I mean, it is. I mean, it was the company grew organically, just like, you know, this property here at One Law grew organically. You know, we knew buying this place early on, you know, when rec passed and stacking permits and building out the infrastructure, we never really knew what its final purpose was going to be, or what it was going to look like in the end. But we knew if we kept building, it would have value.
Yeah.
And then, you know, obviously, you know, cookies blowing up, and you know, we were working with Cookies early on, you know, and then it just became a perfect partnership where, you know, they came in and gave us, you know, relevance and gave us, you know, and we had. You know, I can't count, especially in the early days when we were just scrambling to supply the demand. Because obviously it's a huge demand for Cookies product. You know, and that requires just a whole network and infrastructure to meet that. And so, you know, the amount of times that we used the licenses here and the infrastructure here that we had created to fill whatever gap in the supply chain at that time needed it.
That's crazy.
It was so useful just across the board.
Yeah.
You know, and we did it.
Yeah. No, you did it, but it's, you know, it's world class.
Yeah.
It's world class. It's crazy. I mean, there's a couple other brands, right, that are really, you know, and I probably won't brand shame, but have died, you know, because their hierarchy went whoo-ha money and spent the fuck out of all the money that was coming in, and you know, and you know, now they get rescued by somebody buying them out, but they have to go in and do a deep dive and pull a company, like, you know, pull that company out of the shithole because the previous ownership spent it into the ground. And this is not that. Like that like just, even though there's this kind of massive cultural attraction to it, it looks really solid. It looks really solid.
It is, and we have good foundations, and you know that it really comes down to the people. You know, it really is a company-wide culture. Everyone's bought into it. You know? And we run everything lean. As you can see, a lot of these other companies that are failing now, they went the traditional route and just invested heavily in infrastructure right off the bat. You know, and building these, you know, $50-90 million, you know, facilities. Costs a huge amount, and then on top of that, you know, takes you know, years if not decades to get it done and to get all the permits through and everything. So we were able to fast track that process by just having the brand. You know, like having the existing brand made it so that we could go out and take on partners who had already built up all their infrastructure.
They've gone through the hard stuff.
They've gone through the hard stuff, and we can utilize that, leverage that to just keep growing and scaling.
Yeah,
it was really brilliant what Berner and Parker came up with. You know, it was really cool to watch in the early days, just because, you know, it defied all logic of how you build a company. It really did, but it was like, it was only possible because of the strength of the brand. You know, and it's like, in most companies scale as the brand recognition grows, the company scales at that rate. Like the brand recognition was massive right off the bat, and then we had to you know, construct it backwards.
Well, I mean, but you are, right, and that's really kind of cool. I think that's impressive, because I mean, you could easily be satisfied, you know, with the brand, right, and just being, you know, selling a gazoo of t-shirts and swag, and, you know, co-branding with some people, and there's a couple of people that do that too, where they, you know, they're white labeling stuff, and you know, there's no control over product and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter. They're getting their name out, and they're hollow. Like, you guys' culture around it, and I think you know, we've had conversations, the two of us, about just that like your goal about brand consistency is all about your strain consistency and your product consistency, and just it's not a hollow idea. It's like, you know, you want cookies strain X to be strain X no matter where you go and get it from a cookies place. You know, you don't want to have like, oh, that's not the same stuff I got in California, you know?
No, absolutely. And that's, you know, that's a huge part of all the conversations I'm in. That's always the underlying narrative, is consistency across the board, achieving that to where anybody can open a cookies bag and know it's going to be absolutely perfect. And the flour is going to be top shelf. You know, people pay a premium to smoke our flour, and they shouldn't be disappointed, you know. And that's you know, Berner's, you know, main narrative, you know, for everything coming up is, you know, we have to, you know, consistent quality across the board, getting our prices down. You know, we're really are, you know, consumer driven. You know, we want, you know, our customers are extremely loyal, and we don't ever want to disappoint them. And that's why, you know, the R&D portion of this is so important. And with this, a lot of the stuff that's coming online here, you know, we're really going to be scrutinizing and testing every single detail of every new strain. I mean, we release, you know, sometimes a dozen new strains in a month. You know, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
That alone is just a huge amount of, you know, just moving parts and things that can go wrong.
So I just had multiple conversations in the last couple of days about strain development, and how is it that you're able to release at that level? I mean, you've got to be doing work for the next years in advance, right? I mean, like this, you're doing strain work or are you getting strains from the Humboldt area? Are you hunting that way? Or are you developing everything yourselves? Or
I mean, we have a whole kind of slew of in-house breeders that are some of the best breeders in the world, some of the top geneticists and everything, and they feed us genetics. A lot of times they're working out of small facilities, where they're doing the breeding, and so they don't really have space to do proper R&D on it. It's like they'll run it, it'll do well. They'll say, okay, here's a new strain, So then we have to rely on our cultivator partners to do their own R&D on our strains, which puts a huge burden on them because sometimes these strains don't produce.
Right.
So what we're doing now, and that's kind of the next big project here on site at One Log is opening up these R&D facilities where we can do where our breeders can send us all their new phenos, and we can actually run them and do all the pheno hunts and really do really granular data collection on what every single plant does and where it's going to do best. And that's not just for indoor. We obviously have Cookies is an indoor brand, but outdoor and mixed light are also huge markets as well as concentrates. So it's really figuring out what strains do well in each of those categories, so that we're always putting our partners in a position to succeed.
There's a lot. Well, I'm just looking at your garden, and you're doing some testing outdoors of some stuff that has been successful indoors, right?
Yeah.
Where you're just trying to get some phenos that will be successful on the outside. Yeah. And they're beautiful, by the way. And anybody who has a chance needs to go see that garden. I'm like, golly, man. Yeah. I remember when that garden would have been covered by 20-foot fences, right?
Yeah. It's really cool to be able to do things a little more out in the open these days.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of people coming through here who have never seen a weed plant. They're from the Midwest, and it always brightens up my day when I can show somebody when they have this stigma in their mind.
And then they see the plant, they're like,
of this being in the shadows and this being kind of criminal, and then they see this, and we're all out in the open.
Yeah.
And they walk back in the farm, and see workers listening to music and laughing and joking with each other.
Yeah.
And big, beautiful, healthy plants growing, and all these different strains where you just smell all the different terp profiles in the air, and it's really part of getting people to understand everything about this plant. I mean, I love it because it gets you high, but it does so many other things that we're able to get. And that's
just kind of touching the surface on that too. I think, and people are starting to really get the picture of that.
Yeah,
like how valuable it can be.
Exactly, and then a huge part of this is, we're testing terps out there as well, especially for outdoor. That's how we extract all of our terps for our concentrate lines is from Cookies genetics outdoor grows that are specifically contracted for that. And then getting them, the strains that are gonna produce the best terps, is a huge part of this. And so it's cool. It's definitely a cool thing to have in my backyard. I'm truly blessed.
It's amazing, man. And do you live here?
I do. I live on site as well as some of the other managers. Yeah. It's sometimes
that's a double-edged sword.
It is. You're never off work.
Yeah.
It feels sometimes like you're living in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been at it for 4 years now, so I'm pretty used to it. But it's hard to unplug. But at the same time, it's how I'm able to oversee so many things at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since I've been here, I mean, your day is absolutely full. I mean, you're always kind of always working. Oh.
Yeah. No, that's
normal.
true. And it's exciting because we have 6 different licenses, 7 different working businesses on site here.
Yeah.
And they all have they're all different, and they're the same in some ways. It's all, at the end of the day, it's all leading people, but but everyone has its own nuance.
Sure.
So my day is really filled with completely different
the dance between all the different spaces,
obstacles every day. So it keeps it really exciting. There's never a dull day here. A lot of days, I wake up and have no idea what my day is going to look like. I'm completely off schedule, just dealing with dealing with curveballs as they come in. It's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
And then always just trying to push to make it better. We're building on-site housing, building out all the R&D,
Yeah.
upgrading a lot of the facilities. We're working with a lot of, manufacturers, yourself included, that are really, really keen on getting their products, into the cookies universe, so that we can have all of our partners.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. It's attractive, right?
Yeah.
Because of the brand and what you guys have built. But for a company like mine, when I look at it, I mean, there's an ethos as well, right? There's this moment where you go, well, because we sell everywhere. We just like you guys, you sell everywhere. Not everybody is on board with the same thoughts and ideas about quality and brand and consistency and brand and keeping the value proposition of the product and that kind of stuff. And so, and you'd be surprised, not all brands are like this. There's a lot of brands that are just like, they don't really pay a lot of attention to what they're bringing in. They're just bringing it in and then they're pushing it out. And even big producers, they get to this place where they're like, yeah, this is good enough, and then they've got a system that they're banging it out. I was in a big one in Central California, and they're busting out a ton of material, and the way that they're doing their trimming through the machines they're using is giving them like 20% drop in yield, and they're okay with it. I'm like, anytime I could find 10% or 3%, I'm doing it. But 20%? You fucking kidding me? I'm gonna find that money.
I mean, the margins really, people don't realize how razor thin the margins are in this industry.
Yeah, they don't.
And the amount of work it takes just to put a bag of weed on a shelf is mind-boggling sometimes. And so just finding those tricks to getting that 10% greater efficiency, and that's why I love working with you guys so much, because you just have that exact mindset. I'm all about the small percentages. I mean, it's how we do this, how we get better.
My first machine was the Alchemist, which was designed to pull the trichomes off of your trim.
Yeah.
Right? Well, because it was the whole goal was like turn your trash to treasure. Because historically, people were just throwing away their trim because there was so much of it they couldn't really do anything with it. Now everybody's got ways to handle it, but we're like, dude, this makes no sense. Yeah, like there's all this trichome material.
Flushing money down.
Yeah, it's like why would you do that? Good. So we went after that, and our trimming, everything we do has always been about that, and it's just kind of that idea, like why would you take this really interesting, intricate product and make it into a golf ball or a pine cone, and then tell everybody that's normal? Yeah. Like most people will see a bud and they're like, I had no idea they look like that.
Every bud has its own personality,
and
that's always, and that's what makes this so challenging is we're dealing with such an inconsistent product. And fun and challenging. Because it makes it difficult to automate. But but when you get it, when you really get the system dialed, it just feels so good.
It does, and I think that for us, because I don't have a production facility or a grow, so we rely on other people to validate things. But my whole engineering team, when we sit down and go through a project, we talk about, well, okay, how with cannabis, not hey, how do we do something fast? It's how with this product.
Exactly.
And that's the key to it. If you can approach it, that's how we've always done it, approach it that way, then you have this opportunity to go, okay, there's something better here, right? It can all be done automatically. We all know that. It's just about taking a little more time and figuring out how to do it the right way automatically. And
100%.
Yeah. And I know, like, you guys have a real great reputation for being handcrafted, and that's part of the pride and stuff that you guys take in your product. And yet there are places where you have to find ways to automate because of the volume of things that are going on.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's there's a certain level of automation. It's a very inconsistent product. It's a very valuable product.
Yeah.
You want to be as gentle as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So it's the right amount of automation. Just reducing those touch points as much as you can at every step of the way.
Yeah.
And each one of those adds X percentage to your bottom line. So it's really a delicate dance of finding the right amount. I mean, Cookies has always prided itself on being, it's like there's very little automation.
Yeah.
But in order to make something scalable, you have to add it at certain junctures. It's just not possible. Like I said, the margins are too thin not to.
And honestly, I mean, like, you can't there's a certain volume of labor that becomes completely untenable.
Exactly.
Right? And then you're out producing that. You can't house the number of people. You can't support the number of people that you need to do some of these very not menial, but some of these very tedious tasks.
I've got PG&E here.
Oh geez.
Oh man, this might be one I have to deal with real quick.
Is that right?
Could you give me 2 seconds?
Yeah,
just so I
there's
can
no
run
problem.
out,
Yeah.
Just see what he's up to. I think he might be here to take down that telephone pole.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool. Is that something you want to
Sorry.
get out of there?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll see. I'll figure this out.
Sorry about this, man.
No, don't worry about it. I'll just hit pause.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Don't worry about it.
What's up, man? Are you looking for something? They're just he has to inspect a couple transformers and couldn't find them. I have so many different things on this property that like nobody knows how everything works here except me.
And we've got the trash truck picking up right now. That's classic background noise.
Oh, great! I mean, it's real operations.
That's right. Real deal.
This don't get much more real.
No, it's really interesting.
Yeah, and that's what people always talk about. Kind of authentic cannabis stories and stuff like that. And it's like we joke here that we live authentic. There is no like how this place came to be. Yeah. Especially in the early days when we were just trying everything we could to make it work. And just heads down, just keep working, keep building.
Yeah.
And then eventually you kind of. You keep your head down long enough, then one day you just kind of look up and you're like, oh wow, like
it's all here.
We come a long way.
It has, and I mean even with my couple of stops, you guys are just nonstop, so you're always making progress. It's great. It's what you have to do. I mean,
I've got a great staff, and having the cookies brand, gets you. A lot of people want to work here, want to get their foot in the door with cookies. They know this place is a great. Kind of starting block for that. Yeah. So it gives us a lot of versatility. We got people applying who are definitely overqualified for their jobs. Yeah. And it's just a mentality across the board of people who have just kind of bought into the system. Yeah. And
I mean, just like the crew over there, attentive. Yeah. Paying attention to everything, intelligent guys, curious. All the right things, not overstepping, just like learning. And you're like, oh yeah, that's the right guys you want in those positions, that are going to be like, interested. They're going to do their best on a piece of equipment. They're really trying to, understand it and not just push a button and kind of walk away from it type of thing. So I think that's pretty cool. And your head guy over there, Stefan. Yeah. Love that guy. Yeah. He's I'll take him if you don't want him anymore. I don't know what I'll do with him, but I'll take him in a minute.
He ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere.
I wouldn't imagine. He wouldn't go to Vegas from here, right?
Yeah, no, I mean my core crew and everyone kind of got here by kind of gypsy, just very it was all very organic how my kind of core crew ended up here. Yeah. And they saw Stefan in particular just saw, when this place looked very different, a couple of years ago, he saw what it could be, and he bought in, and
makes a lot of sense.
That's what's really, really cool about, my staff across the board is they just care, and that's you can't, no amount of money, you can't pay people any amount of money to make them care.
To make them care.
It's like either you care or you don't, and I've just been so fortunate in getting people here who genuinely care and genuinely care about the reputation both in the community and within cookies and the cannabis industry, and then on top of that just really care about pushing this place to the next level and turning it into what it could be, which is
it's buy-in. It's just that buy-in thing, and you guys are still hungry enough that you can see it, you can see the passion, and that's great. It doesn't look, you see it with I've seen it multiple times where people, you got the people that are just working, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's all they're doing. And they're not, there's this whole level when you're growing that you need, this whole level of commitment, because there are so many days that don't stop when they're supposed to. And there's so many problems that you never saw. And there's so much shit that has to be cleaned up and you never expected it. And without people being in love with it, then you're pushing it and you're trying to struggle and squeeze the little bits out of people and they get burned out.
They do.
Just
they
like,
really
fuck
do.
it.
Especially this time of year in this business, you really got to keep it. You got to be there for your people. And you got to see it. I've been running before I did this. I used to run large high-end residential construction projects. So I've been a project manager for years. So
okay.
Had a lot of staff.
That's why you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, or at least I play it off well. But if you just act confident all the time, people generally just
works,
think you know what
if
you're doing.
selling it well.
Even when inside, I'm like, holy shit, is this gonna work?
Yeah. There's always that, though.
Yeah,
It's always gonna be there.
but a lot of it, so many of the problems are just people, and just having your people know that you're there for them. When you see your people getting burned out or stressed out, you gotta catch it before it happens, before they get to the end of their rope, and you just gotta be, hey, take some time off. We got this. Everything's gonna be okay. They all need that little pep talk, that stay the course. Kind of pep talk from time to time. Yeah. I mean, but it shows though. I mean, even from this year to last, I mean, I hired somebody to run the grow last year in back, and you've seen how beautiful and lush and green and happy the farm looks right now.
It's stunning.
It could not have been more of a polar opposite last season at this exact same time. It was all the plants were sickly and
really,
just.
And is that the young man?
He came on this year.
Yeah.
He is the Taylor's that.
It's Taylor,
I mean, the plants just love him.
Dude, you can tell.
He cares so to a point where I have to be like, it's going to be okay. Like, like he really.
They're going to die at the end of the season, man. It's going to be okay.
He genuinely loves the plants, and that's what
he does, man.
That's
you can see it.
And I've always said, happy farmers grow happy weed, and this is a farm with love.
Yeah.
Last year was unfortunately a farm without love.
Yeah.
And you saw it in the finished product. It just wasn't good product that came off this farm. Whereas the year before it was amazing, and this year it's obviously amazing. So obviously there's a lot of factors that go into farming, that some environmental and others that are uncontrollable. But it really was a stark contrast between just a positive vibe.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, you can just see it. I mean, I walked over into it and you can see it, you can smell it. The plants are stunning. Yeah. There's not a single discoloration at this time of year in an outdoor field. I'm like, what? How is it that are you spraying it with that evergreen stuff, or
painting it,
spray
paint the leaves before you got here.
Yeah, I'm like, how is it getting to be there? It's amazing. It's really beautiful. We got some great drone coverage with of it. It's just absolutely, it's something.
Yeah, I mean,
and you can tell he loves it.
Yeah, and
that's good.
And that's what I've been telling these guys and people at Cookies. It's like we have this really cool window right now where the I act like oh, this is just how they're supposed to look. I mean, I've never seen a farm that looks this good before, honestly. And
winter.
So getting as many people to see it right now and kind of really
we'll give you the drone stuff we've got.
No, and you guys can post it. Like it's all good. Like we're
I know you guys are proud of what you do, and you ought to be.
We are proud, and
you ought to be.
And we're super appreciative of everything you guys do for us.
Oh, we love it, man. I mean, it's just the opportunity. I think, this part of the country is where I grew up.
Yeah.
From a company perspective, not physically. I've never lived here, but my dad lived in Laytonville, and Clear Lake, and then he lived. I don't know. He lived in a couple other places up here. He got into the business, but this is where I cut my teeth from selling equipment, and so to be back here is magical. And then to see, to come back here and to have a brand like you guys in this area that's being a steward of the area, which is not necessarily what you would expect, or I wouldn't expect it normally. To have a brand like Cookies to be such a mega name, to be exactly what this area is, which is the craft and the attention to detail and the culture and the community and all of that stuff is just, to me, that's like that's pretty special. That's pretty special.
I think so. And what's cool about it is, we obviously we do a lot of stuff in the local community and we employ a lot of people, but cookies, we could set up our facilities anywhere.
Yeah.
And
sure.
a lot of places that would be a lot more convenient to do this.
Yeah.
In terms of
a little more central,
geographically,
with an airport.
Exactly. We're here because we love Humboldt. We love Southern Humboldt so much. We've obviously been coming up here for years. We're heavily involved in Northern Nights. We just love the area. We fell in love with it, a long time ago. And when we started buying up, licenses and property up here, it was because we wanted to be here. And it's Cookies is an indoor brand. There isn't that much indoor up here, so we're not here necessarily to buy the weed. We do buy a lot of product, but it's like I said, we could be anywhere, and this is where we want to be. This is where we want to do this.
But your genetics come out of here.
A lot of them. Well, I mean, the genetics are mainly invented by the breeders. Jai and some of our other breeding partners. They come up with it. We do the pheno hunting and R&D testing of the genetics. So we don't never say never, but we don't really do breeding on site here.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the genetics.
But I mean, from the area
that we use, for sure. And I mean just genetics in general come from Humboldt.
Right. It is kind of one of the birthplaces.
No place in the world has created more just straight up hitter strains than Humboldt County.
Right. Absolutely.
All the staples. And so I mean our genetics come from here in the sense that everybody's genetics come from here. But
at some point, But I mean, it's interesting because I think I'm just watching the community struggling because of the pressure on outdoor.
It's tough.
And then they just don't have a market. There's nowhere for them to go. And that's what's so kind of weird about it too. I mean, the black market still exists, obviously, but the legal market is putting the pressure on the black market from the pricing perspective, and everything's kind of pressured. It seems like it's way down, almost 60% down. YOY.
Just from last year, It's really tough. I mean, last year I was very close to it. Obviously, I work with a lot of local cultivators up here, and I pay very close attention to what the legal and illegal markets are doing, because they do kind of work in conjunction with each other. I mean, cannabis is this weird commodity that has always been a seller's market, because there's this huge black market. And then as so people are basically be able to set their own prices, or have been to date. As other states come online, and they have laws where people are able to grow in their own garages now. They're not relying on California to supply their product as much as they used to be, and that's causing a huge supply with less demand. And then on top of that, COVID winding down, people aren't getting as many subsidy checks. People just aren't buying as much weed, period.
That's really interesting to me, because I think we had a great year last year, and this year this is one of the weirdest years we've had as a company. And last year I would have expected it to be that way, but last year was a bumper year for us. It was a bumper year up here, I think, as well, for everybody.
I mean, it was interesting, but a lot of that was propped up, because of the pandemic, and a lot of people, shut down their grows early when things were shut down. People weren't running their operations, so there just wasn't as much supply. This year that's changed, and it sucks. It sucks that it had to happen like a flip of a switch. Went from everything being so high to being so low, and there was no in between at all. But it's a harsh reality that weed is now a buyer's market. Now that consumers want lower prices. And this isn't just I speak to our cultivator partners about this all the time, because when you are the big company, people tend to assume that you're the one doing this. It's this goes all the way down the line. I mean, this is like we're hurting. Like, big companies are hurting right now too. And we have this huge machine that we have to keep running. And prices are down. People are buying less weed. consumers are demanding lower prices.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, we have to look at we come up with our pricing structure based on what a bag of weed sells on a shelf.
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
we subtract all the parts it takes to get it there.
Yeah.
And that's we're still giving well above market prices, especially for Humboldt, sun grown and greenhouse. And it's unfortunately,
you can't answer all the problems,
it's unfortunately not enough.
You can't buy all of it.
Yeah, no, we can't. And like I said, Cookies is an indoor brand, and mark my words, what's happening with outdoor and greenhouse right now is going to happen to indoor next year.
Yeah.
Indoor prices are still extremely high, but that's going to change real quick.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be weed is going to come down to the consumer is going to set the prices.
It's interesting because it's been traditionally, I haven't seen that, like, the consumer pricing still seems to be pretty consistent. You would expect it to do that because the movement all the way down, but it always seems like it's always the first rung in the ladder, if you will, that pays the biggest toll.
Absolutely.
Right, and it always goes to the producer.
Absolutely.
Right, and we always expect the producer to be the guy that sucks it up and has to deal with it. And even us, that's who we sell to.
Yeah.
Right, so we're offering them opportunities. They have to buy equipment from us to get an opportunity to lower their overall production costs and help them get their margins better. But there's still costs. So everybody's coming to their door, and then they got to. Then the difference, the margin that goes to the retailer, because they're limited, I think, and which is unfortunate, because they're only limited. Like the Northern California's market is basically Southern California, by law,
100%. Right?
So that's kind of rough,
yeah.
Right? And if Southern California has an appetite for something that they don't make up here, then they're really in trouble.
Yeah.
They'd be much better served if they could just ship it everywhere. But I mean, that's not going to happen for a while. But
someday I think we'll get there for sure.
Have to.
I mean all the states are going to be coming online.
Yeah.
And then once it's federal, then it's the same thing. It's a commodity, and it's really hard. You and I have seen. We've seen what all these huge commercial grows look like.
Yeah.
And like I said, we don't buy that much. Greenhouse and outdoor. It's just not what the Cookies brand is.
Right.
I mean, we're 90% indoor flower, and the majority of the greenhouse and outdoor we buy up here in Humboldt. And we really emphasize, because Berner loves this place so much.
Yeah. Like who doesn't?
Emphasize helping the smaller farmers up here.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what we're trying to do. But the problem is, I'll offer a fair white market price for a pound or for bulk, and people will be like, well, this other distributor offered me 2 points higher, and I'm like, well, that's because that other distributor is selling it out the back door. They're not dealing with packaging, they're not dealing with distribution, they're not dealing with any of these other expenses that I have to deal with staffing, with workers' comp, with insurance,
they're not paying all the points that you have to pay.
Everything else, so that's why there's the black market is, and I don't blame people for that. That's the thing, and that's why I never hold people to the contract. I'm never like, okay, you have to sell me all this product. I'm like, if you can get a better price, I'm gonna be fine with it.
Yeah. That's a pretty big deal.
I understand it. This is their livelihood. This is them. This isn't just about like making a couple extra bucks. This is about them being able to run their farm next year.
Right.
This is about them not having to sell their land.
Yeah.
And so I'm very compassionate towards that, but at the same time, it's hard to watch because I know it's not going back.
Yeah.
I know this is the future. It's become a consumer-based commodity, and prices are if anything going to continue to go down.
Yeah.
They're not going to come back up. Just because there's all these huge grows coming online, and you really can't compete with that if you're growing your product on top of a mountain. Somebody who's down in a valley with access to utilities and huge amounts of labor.
Yeah. It's gonna have to niche itself out to be, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But capitalist market, free market, that's the pressures in the market system. It's not unnormal. You don't want to completely fixed pricing, but I mean, you know, when you're on the bad side of it, you kind of want to see it a little bit supported, you know. But
no, for
you
sure,
know, it's tough, man. I've just watched this. It is such a quick turn. It's such a really interesting, shocking moment actually for me to see it. And then the conversations that we've had, the 4 or 5 whatever conversations, everybody's got the same story, man. They're just like, I don't know. I have no idea. I can't even believe it. Like, this is not prepared for this. No way that we could, you know, understand this, right? And so that's actually put a halt, like a big shutter in the whole system.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that comes from here. Like, we're seeing that. We're seeing that pressure from that situation, right? But we're not the only ones. Hydro's seeing it. All the other equipment manufacturers are seeing it. You know, because that's just normal kind of ebb and flow, because we're all connected. Yeah. So when we're trying to figure out what it is, and I come up here, I'm like, holy shit, okay, got it. You know, there's guys that are overproducing in different areas, and that's what kills what you know, caused the market to fall. And then you know, and then the consumer drives the most of it by saying, well, we want this product. We don't want that. You know, we're not interested in the sun-grown products. We're interested in the indoor products, type of thing. And that's you know, that's what markets do. You know, and it sucks, especially with a community like this. But I think, you know, ultimately, there's so much value to me here. Like, I can't imagine people not coming to see where it started and really coming here, you know what I mean? But that's another industry, and that's not easy to start. You don't just start that industry but overnight, you know.
And we're
but
trying,
you guys are going to help with that.
We're trying, and that's the biggest. Yeah. Like I said, I can't force the cookies consumer to smoke more greenhouse or more mixed or more outdoor. I prefer personally to smoking outdoor, especially Humboldt grown outdoor, because it just has the terps, and I'm just kind of the thing. I'm just a huge sucker for the flavors. You know? But I can't, you know, I can't force the consumer to like what I like. We have to supply what the demand wants.
Absolutely.
You know? So, you know, we're definitely trying on a lot of different fronts. Like I said, like we're here. We love being here, and it's like, I don't want to be the only successful guy in Humboldt. You know, I want everyone to succeed, and I want this place. It's a
community. They have to, right?
Yeah, I want this place to stay weird and awesome and renegade, and like, I love that about here. That's why I moved up here.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people moved up here.
And it's so, you know, getting people, you know, really, you know, working with some of these, you know, companies that are doing, you know, cannabis tours, doing a lot of the small batch stuff, helping a lot of the smaller farmers. People with really, really cool, you know, legacy stories to tell about the area, is what we're doing. We're pushing really hard from a marketing standpoint. You know, getting you know, cookies marketing on board with what we're doing up here, and kind of just highlighting the area and really kind of turning this into a destination for people. Is the main thing, and also really reiterating that the weed is better. Like, it is better. Like
well, that's what Ganjier is doing, right?
I grew up in Santa Cruz. Like this, like, sure, there's these huge commercial grows down in, you know, Salinas and Hollister and around, you know, the Central Valley and all that. They're cool. I like all the cool equipment and stuff, but the weed just isn't as good. It just isn't, and that's just a straight up
reality.
From a testing standpoint, from a terpene profile, from everything. The weed that's grown in the Emerald Triangle, and specifically Humboldt County, is just better.
It is. It's just better product.
Really is.
It is. There's no question about it. The problem is that the consumer is generally just not educated. But how do you educate a consumer if you can't bring that product to the market? Because you can only, granted, black market's everywhere, but I mean, you can't really, like, imagine if you could have a sun-grown section, right? But you can't, because it only comes from here. So you can't have it at every one of your outlets or something like that, because it's just not legal. And that's a big pressure point. I think it's very unfortunate. I think once it opens up, I mean, could you see cookies maybe doing a sun-grown? Like,
no, we do. We are.
I mean, like, nationally, like a national brand that was, like, you know, coming from here.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what myself and some of my staff have been working on, and it's kind of our little passion project. You know, is the Humboldt Grown Initiative, which
that's amazing.
Know, we've been building up slowly over the last 2 years. You know, we had some, you know, issues on our end, you know, in terms of not having the ability, you know, with specifically with sun grown and greenhouse, you have your window to do all your R&D, and you're doing your R&D for next year. Last year we had some turmoil within our own, you know, on site here, so we weren't really able to do proper R&D on a lot of the genetics that we got out this year. So you know, there's been some hit or miss, and you know, I've had to do some apologizing to cultivators about it, but we're pushing really hard on it, and I think it's going to be a really fun, successful project this year. Cookies,
that's just
Cookies
amazing.
has been sending up, photographers and videographers, you know, almost twice a month for this entire season to get you know, get the progress of people's farms. We're doing interviews with all the cultivators. They're telling their stories about their families and their histories in the area.
That's great.
You know, we're putting a huge bud tender training and awareness into the project. We created a bunch of videos to where really give the bud tenders, you know, some insight. You know, because a lot of it comes down to, you know, if you're selling a car and you don't believe in the car you're selling, it's over. You're not going to sell the car. You know what I mean?
Exactly
It's getting the people who are selling the product to buy into it, you know, and to buy into there is something special about it. You know, everyone's the cultivators are all getting their own specific brand packaging. So like it's like Cookies collab with their brand. You know, we're floating the bill on all the marketing. Really, all of that is coming out of our pocket, coming out of our end.
That's amazing.
We're not charging them for anything. We're doing a whole clothing line where it has their brand like on Cookie shirts.
Really,
it's really.
Dude, that is fucking really.
It's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yes,
I mean, there is no reason other than the love of this place to do that. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, that's 100% big deal.
And mind you, you know, we've had, you know, definitely people within our organization who don't understand the importance of it. Who are just kind of like, what, it's outdoor, who cares? You know what I mean? And so I've had to go to bat behind the scenes for this place on more than a few occasions, and I don't regret it at all. But the people who are really on board with this project are, you know, my bosses, you know, Burner and Parker, and then the marketing team is they love it, and they love it up here, and
that's good to hear.
And
really
we got the right kind of heavy hitters backing this, you know.
Good.
And so I'm really optimistic. I think this year's, it's obviously the prices are down, and we've had to, you know, give people a slightly less
it's just the market, man.
But at the same time, we're still paying above, you know, like fair market, white market prices, above fair market. So it's so most people are happy. Some people are, you know, obviously just disappointed in the entire climate altogether. Which I absolutely get. And just like I was saying, like I don't hold it against people if they get a better price, then I'm okay with it, you know, because I want them to succeed. I want this project. I want to continue this project next year. You know, I want to get bigger next year. I want to bring in more.
That's a massive undertaking in and of itself.
More farms, and you know, and it is. I mean, because a lot of time we're also dealing with people whose whole culture is anti-conformity. You know, and so their kind of first inclination is to
stick their finger and fuck the man.
Yeah, exactly. And trying to explain to them, like, look, we're really trying to help here. And we're not doing this because we make any money. I mean, we're breaking even if not losing money on the entire project. But that's fine. You know, we've accepted that. That's not what this is. You know, this is definitely a trying as much as we can within reason, you know, a lifeline to the local community.
I think that's amazing. And because I mean, you know, you can't save everybody. We came up for the fires, and we've done some stuff, and we've helped some people who've lost everything and done that kind of stuff, and you know, and that's all we can do. You know, you can't help everybody, but you've got to. You know, I feel very connected to this area because I mean, like, my first machines were sold here. I've slept on this highway any number of places along the road, you know, and I totally get this whole trip, and I miss it, and I love it, and I hate to see it go. But you know, it'll shake around for a bit, and I'm sure it'll come up at the end of the day. It'll come up smelling like roses again. Well, like marijuana again, like cannabis again.
Top shelf.
Top shelf again.
No, I do too. I think it's, you know, Humboldt is they'll adapt. Whatever the next thing is, we're going to adapt. You know, and they're going to find a solution. They just need to accept that the past is gone. You know, and we need to focus on the things that
figure out the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
And that's not easy to do.
And it's
you know, it's not easy to do.
And it's also easy for me to say. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I have this monster brand backing me. It's like it's like, you know, we're going to be fine. Like my business here are going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know, but it's, you know, like I said, I don't want to be the only successful guy around here. I want everyone to benefit.
I think as soon as we like as soon as we're allowed to ship this stuff overseas, like Canada's doing, or ship it across our own fucking country. I mean, you're gonna see this become what it should be, you know, which is more vibrant and healthy, because right now it's being pressured by a limited marketplace, and they can't do anything about it. You know, when LA, who's probably the largest consuming market, you know, says, hey, we don't care about outdoor anymore, you know, then that's your market. I mean, you know, there's
absolutely
15 million people down there, and you know, what are you gonna do, man?
No,
kind of screwed.
It's absolutely, but it's the lines have kind of been drawn, and that's, you know, I mean, you've seen a lot of people saw a lot of new consumers coming on, or forecasted a lot of new consumers coming online, and some did, but at the same time, like, it's really like the people who like to smoke weed before it was legal are kind of the same people who like to smoke weed when it's legal. You know, it's like a certain percentage of the population likes to get high. You know, and there are going to be some new demographics coming online. But at the same time, like, you know, is that really enough to sway anything? You know, the soccer mom who takes a low dosage edible twice a year to Dave Matthews concert, you know what I mean, as opposed to the actual cannabis consumer who smokes a quarter ounce a day. You know, and that's
I think the European market for this area would be great, because the legend of Humboldt, the legend of it, you know, is so strong outside of Humboldt. It's not necessarily,
and just Cali weed in general. You go anywhere in the world, and everyone's just like, everyone just all they want is Cali weed. You know, and so if you can actually stamp it as like, hey, this is grown in Northern California, I think that, I mean, that is, you're absolutely right. That's the future of.
That's where this place will make it back.
These places, it's going to be small batch. You know, we can't.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
We can't compete on a production scale. We just can't. You can't compete with these mega facilities when you're having to run truckloads of water up to your hill farm. It's just not possible.
That guy's got 1 million square feet under canopy over, you know,
with all the power,
you could ever want, and all the water, and everything's right there.
And a huge surplus of cheap labor as well. And it's like, you can't compete with that. So we need to find some way we can, you know, and
this is a really encouraging, after the last couple of conversations, it's really encouraging, because I'm just thinking about, like, how can this come out? And that makes all the sense to me, is that it will come out of this area as long as it kind of embraces what it is, which is the batch kind of craft. But it has to have the market. We have to give it the market. And of California, of all fucking places, sell this shit overseas. Like, I know the United States isn't selling it, but sell it overseas. I mean, get the contracts and sell it overseas.
It's a no-brainer. It really is.
You know?
I mean, everybody, all they want is Cali weed. All they talk about is Cali weed.
Can you imagine?
Everyone, I mean, the weed that's grown in California, whether it's indoor, outdoor, greenhouse, whatever, is still better than
It's still the best weed.
It's still the best weed in the world. Bar none. And it's just like, we just need to get past this, and once we can start importing around the world, then you're absolutely right. That's the future.
When I started, you know, Colorado popped up first. How they beat California, I have no idea. But I went out there, and what they had done is they had gone large scale, really fast, and they had done that right. Here in California, weed was always right. Like, well, not always, but it's been right. Like, weed is done right. Like, Colorado wasn't doing it right, but they're doing it fast. You know, and they kind of made this mechanism of production, just high throughput production, really efficient and really effective, but it's not the same thing, man.
No, absolutely.
Not even close.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, so.
I mean, we need to get a little bit of that, some of that mentality out here, though, as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, in order to turn a profit in this business, you got to run your shit lean.
Yeah.
You got to be efficient. You got to run it lean.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. Is the margins are so razor thin that if you really have any dead weight, you're going to lose money.
I have to run lean. I mean, I put in processes to make sure we try not to have people have to go backwards. Like, we want stuff moving in a circle. Like that's how we have to think about the same things. Like it's like, you go, okay, well, and I buy equipment judiciously, based on those kind of same principles, right?
Footsteps.
Yeah.
It's all footsteps.
Yeah. And you just got to try and figure that out. And if people miss that, then they have no idea what they're losing. No idea how much they're losing.
Well, and it's also people have never been trained in that. When I was a kid and I used to go work construction, the old timers on the construction sites used to always say, footsteps. They used to always yell at me, footsteps, because they'd see you if you were taking 5 steps to go to your tool bag. Constantly, they're like, grab the bag and bring it next to where you're working, dipshit. Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
I just watched you take, 100 footsteps that you didn't need to take. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you don't think of that, unless you've really done real, production or anything else at scale. Is cutting those footsteps out of the equation. Is the difference between turning a profit and not turning a profit.
Exactly. I used to have this kid who was always looked busy, man. I was like, God, I just love this kid. He's always moving. So one day I sat and watched, and he would, like, over one side of the shop, he'd walk all the way over to the other side of the shop, grab the broom, walk all the way over, clean up a little pile, walk all the way back and put the broom back. I'm like, okay, bought another broom. There's one for every corner of the shop.
So it's the wrong kind of
busy.
It's like people think that just acting, moving a mile a minute and acting really stressed out and hectic is the same as working. It's not. You're not getting anything done.
And if you're sitting back and just seeing, you don't understand that, so you really have to take a moment and observe and evaluate and look at process. And I know you do, because I'm watching you when we're in there looking at the stuff. I know you do the exact same thing, and it's just like you start seeing, I can see where this I can maximize this value.
There's a station right there. That's a one person job. There doesn't need to be 3 people right there. No, we think the same. We definitely park our cars in the same garage, and that's efficiency. It's across the board.
And it's funny is that we talk about, like, big corporations who have kind of gone all the way, like McDonald's has gone all the way to the maximum of efficiency, but they have the same number of employees that they've had. Mm-hmm. They're just pushing twice the number of cars through.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They added a machine that fucking pours your drinks for you. Yeah. Why would you do that? I was like, well, what the hell? Well, soon after they did that, they had 2 lanes of traffic going through. I'm like, it wasn't just that, but it's all the pieces that they were like, they're working on every time they turn around. Like, that's taking too much time. That person could be taking an order instead of filling a drink. Yeah. And if they don't have to think about the drink, they can take the order. But if they have to think about the drink and the order, so they're going to make a mistake, right? So they take that out, and all of a sudden this machine, this McDonald's, which is a machine, they just keep driving. They just never stop. Yeah, they're relentless, and we have to be the same. Yeah, because your pressure is going to come. A brand's going to come along that's going to put pressure on you guys, and just like we're in the same spot, brands come along. We have to be running as lean and as efficient as we possibly can.
Exactly. Especially if we're going to lower prices, and really give the product to the consumer at an affordable price.
And you want your employees to have good wages. You don't want to have them, I hate having, like, minimum wage idea, it just drives me nuts. We don't do minimum wage. We're not the highest paid, but I think everybody's over 15, which is a good starting place, in Vegas. So it's like, but it drives me nuts that people want to push off, like, all this potential value, and we'll just hire somebody cheap, and it's just not the answer, man.
And it's also the turnaround on that is not sustainable. That's the thing, and it's like if you're having to interview and hire new people every 3 months. Yeah. You have to. If you hire people, it's not just the hiring; it's the training. There's going to be 2 weeks of 2 weeks of training, and so you end up losing money that way. Yeah. Whereas if you pay people a little bit better, just slightly better than your neighbor's paying them, and they're going to stick around. You're going to get a good, motivated employee for a year plus, you know. And I mean, sometimes you don't. Sometimes some people you could pay them $1 million an hour, and they're still just going to be.
They're looking for something else.
Yeah, they're always looking past it, and you get good at kind of seeking those people out, or you know.
Yeah, but then you find gems.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you're like, yeah.
And it just makes it so much easier too.
Yeah.
It just makes, you know, it's like I've already got this brand behind me, so people want to work for the brand. People want to work for a really cool company. You know, Cookies is hot, and you know, but then you add on that, like we take care of our people. You know, we from a human standpoint, you know, Cookies has this.
You can see that as well.
Has this amazing,
They come out here, they're laughing, they're smiling, they're having a good time,
and getting work done. It's like it doesn't have to be one or the other. Like it doesn't have to be a sweatshop. You know, it's like people can enjoy their jobs and still produce. You know, and the Cookies HR team is absolutely amazing to work with. They're so dedicated to every single person, you know. Like I have this, you know, I have a huge staff here, and just top to bottom.
You do have a big staff here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that huge a place, but how many people you got? Like,
I think we're somewhere around 30, 35, 37 people. Yeah.
It's not big enough for 37 people.
I know, it's crazy.
It's crazy. You got all these people in
and
here.
it's just a constant machine. It never stops. I mean, we really do.
And it doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's deceiving. I mean, I know you go into the processing area.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people in there sweating.
Yeah. No, for sure. And they're, you know,
but it doesn't look chaotic, man. It looks really, really well managed and organized.
It's well managed. My management staff is the best in my opinion. Like they're just my core team is just so solid, and they run their departments totally efficiently and as lean as we possibly can. You know, they're able to shift gears. I throw them curveballs daily, and they're just ready to pivot. And you know, we always joke, because it's like, you know, from a supply chain standpoint, it's like, you know, we're dealing with production here, so it's like, you know, you for someone at the end of the line, say on the sales side, you know, a pivot for them is literally a click of a mouse on a spreadsheet.
Right, exactly.
A pivot for us is like trying to turn the freaking Titanic. You know, you're like, wait, what? No, we have all these parts that we have to line. It's not just a simple case of just like, okay, now we're doing this. It's like it's getting all of these pieces in line so it works. And you know, I can truthfully say that my staff is better at it than any I've ever seen.
That's great.
And it's really makes it really, really enjoyable, and we all get along. You know, that's the cool part. Is like
I haven't seen any fights.
It's like we all hang out. Like we barbecue and play ball on the lawn.
That's
you know,
great,
everybody. If somebody's walking past and they see you working on something, they'll jump in and help you.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's kind of sees it all as one big
really
team.
Upbeat. It's really upbeat. It's got a good vibe about it. If this machine thing doesn't work out, man, I'm gonna be knocking.
Absolutely.
Can I walk the rows of the big plants, please?
You want a tiny house?
Yeah, I'll take a tiny house. Oh my God, that should sure take a lot of stress off. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I hear you. Sometimes I wish I could just be like, all right, I'm just gonna go work and pack some weed for a couple weeks. Somebody else can run all.
Vacation.
Somebody else can run the shit.
Let you do this.
Yeah. No. It's good though, and you know, I look at how far we've come here, and that's I'm always so optimistic, just because, like I said, you get kind of lost in it when your head's down in the trenches, and you don't really see the big picture. Then sometimes you got to take the time to look up and really just enjoy what we've created and how far it's come, and it just really makes me optimistic for the future.
Yeah, we're in the middle of. You know, we're in the middle of really implementing process, like the final implementation of the detail around process, not the concept of process, but the actual detail throughout the shop of all the different processes, and you know, it's starting to bring peace. Yeah. And starting to bring routine and some consistency, you know, and you're starting, and that is such a relief. To have that, and when the machine starts to run that way, and it's got that smoothness to it, and you know, then the curveballs are much easier to deal with. Yeah. Right. When absolutely. It's just nothing but curveballs, you're like, what? It's just every day
you just can't catch a break. Some days. Can't
get my head above water.
No, I hear that, and you guys, I mean, it's been really cool. watching your guys' progress, through
Yeah.
all this as well. Hats off to you. You guys have really created, I'm really kind of rose above the pack as the only guys in the industry who really understand cannabis automation, know, and that's the biggest part. There's so many people who are always trying to sell me on stuff. And it'll be some machine that's designed for some other industry. That is being kind of transferred over to weed.
We say that a lot.
And you guys are built for cannabis, but yeah, exactly. So that's what's so cool, because we're kind of the same thing.
Absolutely. We that's industry born is the whole deal, and
exactly.
It's just, it's funny because I don't I never was very good at growing, but I still have a passion for this whole thing. Just my passion is in equipment, and just like your guys' passion, your passion is in the growing and the production over here. That passion is all that matters. So that's what we approach that equipment 100%. And then we look, also it's not just that, but it's you and this company, and what is your bottleneck? What's going on there? Because that's part of my passion too. Is like, because I'm always thinking about how do you get through how do you become successful? What do they need? What's and that's what drives it, right? It's not just like, hey, I hear these things are selling really hot, let's go do that. We just we kind of go down a path of like production. We're gonna help people be able to produce this product the way it's supposed to be produced. So and I love that you guys are always, you won't release a machine until you know it actually works. I've done that before, just so you know.
For sure. No, we've all done similar things, but it's great to see, just because it's like, a lot of people are just trying to get their stuff out the door, get their stuff out the door, and it seems like you guys genuinely care about our production and about making our systems more efficient.
Well, we brought you that machine, but that machine is almost 5 years. 5 years of multiple iterations, because everybody's doing it. And we've looked at all those different ways, and we finally, one of my young guys, very intelligent kid, came up with this idea, and I think we got it. So really excited, but that's it. Sometimes you just bang your head against the wall and grind away, and then you get it. But we're never going to go and say, well, let's just sell something in that space. Right? Oh, well, we just make another weed whip, or we can just sell something in that space. No, that doesn't make any sense, because it doesn't serve anybody's purposes, right? Then I'm competing against somebody else's idea, and I'm trying to beat them at their game, and I'm gonna take pennies off of their dollars. Doesn't make any sense. We can figure out how to make it better or do it right, and that's what makes my whole team passionate, is like doing it right. So just like you guys, doing it right. It's not just like, oh, I could go dominate with this. I could beat a lot of guys on price on crappy equipment, but then I'd be a company that sells crappy equipment.
And that's a short-term goal. You know what I mean? We're here because we're in it for the long haul. We're not trying to just get rich quick and get out of here. You know? So.
No, especially we're here. That's the whole point of this thing, right? That's the point of it. Well, thank you so much, man. Awesome. I appreciate the hospitality.
Of course.
Very warm.
You guys are your team is always welcome here.
I'm going to leave Marco here with you.
That's cool.
He's looking at your tiny house.
Just eyeballing it. No, you guys are great, and super appreciate everything you guys do for us.
Thank you.
And you guys are, anytime you're passing through,
we're happy to be here.
Just let me know, and we'll be in touch. Super appreciate the resource for my guys over there, having Stefan able to reach out to you guys directly, and
absolutely.
He's the man using the equipment. Nobody has more insight as to what works and what doesn't than that dude.
And he picks it up so fast, man, and he's just like, oh, got it. It's good to see his passion in it.
For sure.
And I know you guys are coming out to Vegas, so definitely get you guys out. I don't know if he's going to come out.
I'm going to try and get him out too.
I'd love to have him out, because I'd love for you guys to see the shop and what we do out there.
Absolutely. I'll push for it. I reached out to Robert last night to see if I could add Steph on, and haven't heard back, but I'll make it happen.
Sounds good, man.
Sweet.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining. That concludes our podcast for this week. Don't forget to check us out on all the socials at GreenBroz.